Hey guys, so welcome to today's webinar. So today we are gonna learn about how to develop a DeFi on Uniswap. But before that, we'll also understand some things about what is Uniswap and how it is a little bit of history about it. And in this one, we will try to cover the most part. But yeah, for this one, we have like we have made sure to whatever we are going to cover, we are just gonna cover it very deeply. And today, that's why we are going to start with V1 and not with the V2, V3, or V4. So, without any further ado, let's dive into our topic. So, uh, what is actually Uniswap? So, for those of you out here who does not know what Uniswap is, so Uniswap is a decentralized exchange, and it is actually one of the first exchange, and I would say it very confidently that it is one of the strongest exchange. It is one of the strongest and the most powerful protocol on the DeFi ever, and it has crossed a great margins on the or on the if you go to Dune and if you see like the TVL on Uniswap is massive, and like also it started with Ethereum and now it is out there on multiple chains. So what exactly is Uniswap? So Uniswap is a decentralized exchange. So what is an decentralized exchange? So decentralized exchange, let's try to understand from the word. So a decentralized exchange is an exchange which is not centralized basically. So like it is not it does not have any admins. It does not have any people who have control on the certain parts of the functions, and almost everything, all the transactions, all the trades that are happening out there are made automatically by using mechanisms of smart contracts, and some of the and quite a lot of maths is involved to make sure all the trades that is happening is mathematically accurate and no one is really losing the money. And there might be some things that, okay, so like if no one is actually controlling it, then how it is exactly functioning. And that is the beauty of Uniswap, that instead of it has no real power authority, but still it is functioning out there as one of the best decentralized exchange. And the reason behind that is that in its heart it has a mechanism called automated market makers. So what does automated market maker mean is that to make sure a trade goes through, there is a pool of liquidity, and this liquidity is provided by the help of the automated market maker. So we'll understand this later on deeply. uh, Before that, we'll try to understand that what makes it different from the traditional exchanges, and how it is different from the centralized exchanges. So in a centralized exchange, there is a entity called order books. So like, is order book really that bad? Well, I won't really say so like it's really that bad, but yeah, like both of these things have their pros and cons. So like, first start with I'll explain with what exactly is an order book. So an order book, you can say, is a list of orders, and how are the orders exactly? It is a buy and sell orders. So you can understand it like, there is a page, and on the left side of the page there is a buy order, and on the right side of the page there's a sell order, and all these orders are listed out there. And if Alice wants to buy some, let's say, Ethereum, so what is going to do is that if the price matches to Alice, then the order is going to the price put by bond, and the orders takes place. And this is exactly most of the traditional finance works, and also so the biggest center exchange like Binance executes is also using this kind of data, and in the exchanges also literally one Ethereum cost one Ethereum password and so because I put that I want to sell. I have to sell. I have money. I've kept the price of one Ethereum. Kept the price of one as $2 each price. Now the price that I want to sell my Ethereum is made by me. Like, I can keep it $2, I can keep it $4, I can keep it $100. It's up to me. Now comes the Bob. Bob wants to buy some of the Ethereums. So what it's gonna do in the Ethereum is that it's gonna enter the market, and in the market it's gonna select the price that it wants to buy. And usually it is done by the algorithm of the order books. Like, if the Bob wants to buy Ethereum from $2, and like it has $10, and it wants to buy Ethereum, like he wants to buy 5 Ethereum. So what it's gonna do is that it's gonna the order book is gonna link it with Alice, and out of $10, he'll spend $6 to buy Ethereums from Alice, as Alice only has three Ethereums on sale. So it will buy three Ethereums from Alice, and then the order book is gonna look for another person, and it's gonna possibly make a matchmaking. So you can say it as it's a traditional matchmaking scheme which is happening there. And a matchmaking scheme is also exactly happening in the automated market makers as well. But here the matchmaking is of a kind of a different scenario. So before that, what are the actually advantages of using order book or centralized exchanges is that when you are using a centralized exchanges, users do not have to pay the gas fees, which otherwise they will have to pay a gas fees when they are using the decentralized exchange. But in this case, when the order is being done on the behalf of the user, so the centralized exchange also store a lot of like they in their database store all of the private keys. So in this case, what happens is that there is an issue of the security. Like if a hacker wants to hack, then it can just really like if they if they're able to hack it, like hack it, they can it's compromise the private key, which is like just code into the central exchanges, and then they can really expose a large number of funds from it. And like every user is independent of the one, and there is private is used by the users and when a hacker wants to hack, then they need to individually to the user. The effort that is put out private exploit in the or book, so the effort is less as compared to when like it's when you're using a maker to so in this
Uh,
case
sorry,
see
Among,
the next is
sorry, Hamang, I think your
just
connection, there's a
next
problem there.
see oh once again yes
Yeah,
sure
you're not getting
yes
through.
okay, it's better now.
It seems so.
So like can you hear me, like is it better?
Yeah, it seems better.
Okay, all right. So shall I start again, or like I can continue from here?
Yeah, maybe because it for a while there, for like a minute or two, maybe rewind a minute or two then.
Yep, sure. So, like, I can again explain what is the difference between an order book and an automated market maker. So, let's start to understand exactly again what an automated market maker is. So, what is order book is? So, to understand order book, where it is used is that it is used mostly in the centralized exchanges. Now, in a centralized exchange, when we say that it is using order book, then exactly what is being used is that we can understand it by a concept of a simple page where on the left side of the column is a buy orders and on the right side of the column is a sell orders. So if a user is going to come and if let's say Bob want to buy some Ethereums from LS, so what it's gonna do is that it's gonna give an order that I want to buy Ethereum on this price. So it's the order book is gonna match that order with the price that Alice has kept to sell her side of Ethereum. So in this case, like if Bob wants to buy three Ethereums and like five Ethereums, and Alice wants to sell three of her Ethereums. So what it's gonna do is that Bob wants to buy Ethereum cost of $2. Let's say just for the sake of simplicity. So it's gonna match the order with Alice, and from Alice it's gonna transfer three Ethereum to Bob, and now Bob wants two more. So what it's gonna do is that it's gonna move to the next best match, and with the next best match, select the next best match is gonna sell it at 2.5. So then it's gonna transfer 2.5 Ethereums from the next batch like Caroline to Bob. So in this case, the transaction which is happening is made via order books, and this order book is controlled entirely by a centralized exchange. So the advantage of using a centralized exchange is that the users do not really have to pay fees on the top of that, as the centralized exchange is doing all these things on the behalf of the users, and not much part is there on the blockchain. It's mostly doing on the order books. So in this case, they are actually using a relayer, so where they are gonna use the gas fee for whichever part is there on the blockchain, but a user is going to only interact with the part which is there on the order book. But also comes a part there, though it is able to stand out on the part of gas fees, it is still less secure. Now, why it is less secure is that the reason is that all the private keys of the wallet of the users in a centralized exchange is stored at the centralized exchange at some space. So let's say a hacker is able to expose that place and wants to exploit the fund from it. Then a hacker has like now access to all of the addresses there and all of the private keys there. Whereas if a hacker want to exploit something on the on a decentralized exchange, then in a decentralized exchange, the private keys are owned and it is kept at the user's own place. So to carry out the same amount of attack in a decentralized exchange, the hacker needs to get access to all the particular single addresses, and which is going to take a lot of time and computation power. So when it comes to the part of security, decentralized exchanges are very much secure as compared to the centralized exchange. And also, decentralized exchanges are like audited in public and it's out there. And since they really have no entity, so like there is very less amount of fraud. And the clear example is of FTX. So apart from that, there is a thing the of centralized exchange, that it is usually have very high liquidity, because since the order books are manually created and it is generated there, so it has very high liquidity. But decentralized exchanges, like the big exchanges, they also have high liquidity. But to create a high liquidity, it takes a little bit of time, but eventually it reaches the same. So like as I said, explained earlier, Uniswap is right now the most highly traded decentralized exchange ever built on a top of a blockchain, and it is doing massively fine. So apart from that, the trades which are happening on the decentralized exchange, like the Uniswap or PancakeSwap, is permissionless. So like you don't really need to provide any KYC kind of things, and you can really enter a trade whenever and from wherever you want to. So this makes Uniswap V1 stand out from the other centralized exchanges, like I say Binance or stuff. But yeah, they both have their own pros and cons. Uh, so now let's dive a little bit deeper into the Uniswap V1. And to dive a little bit deeper, I mean a lot deeper. So we'll understand first how the constant product market maker works, and what exactly is a constant product market maker in a Uniswap V1. So the constant product market maker is actually nothing but a simple formula, which is X into Y is equal to K. It is simple looking, but when I'll dive deep into it, you'll understand how complex and crucial it is for the protocol to work. So basically, the X means the amount of token in a liquidity pool, and Y means the amount of token B in a liquidity pool, and K means a constant that represents the product of X and Y. Now, throughout the throughout the trade and throughout everything, the value of X and Y should remain, the product of X and Y should remain constant to a certified number. So in this case, the like it is used to maintain the liquidity of it. So now what I'm gonna do is that we'll try to understand it more deeply. So I'll just explain the maths behind it. Okay, so we'll just create a new file. We'll just so like whatever I'm gonna write here is gonna come this side. So you can keep your focus on the right side of the screen, as this side is for writing the code. So as I was explaining, uh, product CPMM uh, is determined by is determined by xy is equal to k, where x is equal to uh, let's say token A, it's mostly Ether, but it can be anything. But yeah, it is the most highly liquid pair there. And token Y can be anything, which is token B. Now, to explain it on a graph, I've drawn a graph here. So the graph of xy is equal to k looks something like this. So where this graph is almost every time constant, and it's gonna increase and decrease. However, the value is going to be changed. So I'll just copy this graph there. Okay, for some reason it didn't copy it. We can go on. So now let's try to understand an example of how the price is going to be determined if I sell a token. So now let's say if I sell token A and buy token B. So now how the pool is going to behave in this case. So when I'm selling the token A, then this means that I am adding my token A into the liquidity pool. So which means that a small amount of token is going to be added into the liquidity pool. Now, as I explained that the product should always remain constant. So for this case, I have to remove some amount of token B, which is Y, from the pool as well. So in this case, let's say I am adding the token that I want to add. Token A is written X by DX, and token B that I take out, I buy them, is represented by DY. So now the constant, the CPMM is going to look like X plus DX, Y minus DY is equal to K. Now, why I would written it like this, like why it is happening? Because I'm adding some amount into the pool, which is a DX, and I'm removing some amount out of the pool, and the product should always remain the same. So if I go into the graph and if I try to show it how it's gonna look like, so from the graph point of view, it's going to be like, uh, let's create a graph and understand it more clearly. Now this part is going to be y minus dy, since this has been removed, and this part is going to be x plus dx. So the graph is going to look like this. Once I'm going to sell my token X and buy a token B or Y. So this is how a graph functions like in this case. So now comes the case two. If I want to, uh, I can change it to bold. I want to swap token A and token B. So how many tokens I should receive? I should receive. So like in this case, as I explained earlier, x, y is equivalent to k. And again, what I can do is that x y is equal to k, and x plus dx, y minus dy is also equivalent to k. So what I can do is that with this equation, I can write, I want to find so basically what I'm doing is that I want to find the value of dy if dx is given. So to find the value of dy if dx is given, we can go it like this: x plus dx is equal to I guess so. This is going to work like this. Hmm, maybe if I remove it, k divided by y minus dy. Now I know that k can be written as x. So substitute the value of k. So it's going to be x, k output the value like this y x. If I substitute the value like x, substitute into x. Now again, if I try to find the value of dy, okay, I don't know what just happened. Okay, I'll just continue from here and maybe try to again do it later. Hmm. So basically we had x is equal to k, and we had xy x plus dx, x plus dx is equal to plus dx. Is equal to k as well. So now if we solve the above, like the equation that I showed last time, then the value of dy is going to come as y uh, fractional frac of is going to come as y dx divisible by x plus dx. So we can call it as equation 1. So now to explain again, so when I swap a token x from a token dx from a liquidity pool, the number of token dy is going to be swapped will be equivalent to equation 1. So so this was an explanation about if I'm going to swap a token X into the pool, then how it's going to look like. Now let's dive deeper and understand add liquidity to pool, add liquidity to pool and how it's gonna work like. So when I'm going to add a liquidity to pool, so before adding a liquidity to the pool, before adding liquidity, the pool looks like, the pool is xy is equal to k, that we already know by now. Now after I add a liquidity, so let's say I add dx token and dy token again. So after I add dx and dy token to increase the liquidity of the pool. So now we are trying to understand if I want to increase the liquidity of the pool, how the pool is going to change like. So if I add dx and dy token in the pool, so it will be x plus dx y plus dx. Now remember I did here y minus dx, but here I'm doing y plus dx. The reason for this is that in earlier cases I was swapping. So when I was swapping at that time, the pool should remain constant. Like the product of those tokens reserve should remain constant. But right now, what I'm doing is I want to make the pairing of the liquidity pool between two pairs much bigger. So in this case, and there is going to be an addition here, and now the liquidity is going to remain constant. Well, no, it's going to increase. So how it's going to increase is like, so let's go back again to our graph. So like, let's say this is the graph again, and we copy it here. We let's remove it. Yeah. Okay.
Hemang, I think there's also a problem with your connection right now.
Oh, okay. Can you see my screen right now? Where I'm drawing a graph.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can hear me. Like, is it like, do you have any lag or something like that?
Well, for now, no. I think it's okay for now.
Oh, okay, perfect. Uh, so now, what we are going to do is that I've added some of the tokens into my liquidity pool again. So in this case, the graph is going to look like this, and uh, this value right here is going to be y plus dy, and this value is again x plus dx. And these 2 points should meet at a same line. If I draw a line here right now, it's definitely not going to coincide, but you have an idea that how it should look like. So it should basically go like this. So like if I move it from here, yeah. So like this is going to be the liquidity pool. If I add the new values to it, so I'll just add this into our documentation. Okay, where is our hack MD? I think so. My net, because of my net issue, the hack MD is not updating. Maybe I can switch, turn off my camera to have more
Yeah, sure,
of.
sure.
Yep. Okay, let's go with a new hack MD instead. I'll just remove this, and I'll add liquidity to pool. It should come. Okay, perfect. So now before adding the liquidity, it was get it again. Xy is equal to k. After adding it, it's turned as x plus dx, y plus dy is equal to k dash. And with this one, we know now how the graph will look like if the liquidity is added. Now, with this thing, we have arrived to one more conclusion always, is that uh, the k is always going to be less than or equal to k dash. Like whenever the liquidity is added, so the value of k is always going to be less than or either equal to k. Now let's try to understand that how much amount of dx or dy we can add. So basically, can it be added in any format, or like is there any limit to it? So limit of adding additional tokens to liquidity. So in this case, Uniswap tries to limit everything in a ratio of x, uh, in a ratio of mm, so Uniswap is always gonna maintain a ratio in the format of x into y. So since it is always going to maintain it in the format of x into y, so we understand that for the additional liquidity that we are going to add is also going to be in the same format. So it's going to be like this in the same format as well. So those two equations is always going to be equivalent to each other. So if we want to solve for dy, so now let's say we want to understand how much is heading where, or to just to amplify the equation, what we can do is that we can apply some algebra, and after that we can come from an, like you can multiply this side from this side, so it's going to come xy plus x dy at one side. So I'm just simply going to write the algebra part here. So it's going to be xy xy plus x dy, which is equal to yx plus y dx. So now these two is going to cancel out each other since they are the same. And on the left hand side we have x dy, and on the right we have y dx left. So I'm just gonna rearrange themselves. So x is gonna go here. So x upon y will come as dx upon dy. So basically, after rearranging, it will look like uh, which is equal to, rearranging it will look like x upon y is equal to dx and dy. So this comes out to be a very important part, because with this equation we can understand how many like we like there are a lot of functions which we can understand deeply if we are able to have a hold on this expression. So if we move forward, and now I have a question again. So the question two is that if I like if I've added a share, like how many if in a liquidity pool, how many shares I can mint. So how many shares to mint. So to understand this thing, I'll just first simply write a statement which says that increase in liquidity is directly proportional directly proportional to increase in shares. Now let's try to understand this thing again with maths. So what we are going to do is that let's consider L0 is equal to liquidity before adding the token, liquidity before. L1 is equal to total liquidity after. T is equal to total share before, and S is equal to shares to mint. Now we want to find a relation between these concepts. So as I've explained earlier, with this statement, in liquidity is directly proportional to increase in shares. So with this one, we can say that increase in liquidity is going to look like L1 minus L0. I'd rather have a maths moderator here as well. Is divisible by L0, and which simplifies increase in liquidity. Okay, there is no space. I can just remove this part from here. Increase in liquidity, and similarly, uh, increase in shares. Shares can be written as T plus S upon no T plus S upon T. So now these two should always be equal, and since these two should always be equal, it will be like this one minus this one. Oh, sorry, this one equal to this one. So if we try to solve this one, what we are gonna get is that like if we try to solve this one, we will come to a conclusion of how the liquidity is going to be solved. Uh, so like once again, it will be this won't be here because this is going to come in the later part. Yep. And since it is the liquidity is directly proportional to increase in shares, so like increase in liquidity and the shares to mint. So now we will try to understand how to measure a liquidity exactly. So to understand how to calculate, right, to calculate a liquidity, to calculate liquidity from given x and y. Now the if we wrap them in a function and we say that to calculate liquidity, what we can simply do, we call them as a function and x comma y. We might say that the best ideal option could be just to have a product between the two of them, which is x into y. But is it really the best thing to do? So let's try to understand it by an example that I've drawn here. So basically, this is the first liquidity pool. If we are considering this has to be the ideal function. So this is the first pool. So it's going to look like x product y is equal to k. And if for the increased pool, it's going to look like x into y into k. So we'll just copy this one. Put it here. I don't know why it's not showing. Okay, it might show later on. So now what we are gonna do is that we are gonna try to understand if it is right or not. So like in this case, why I'm having a little bit of doubt is that when we multiply x into y, the equation of k becomes quadratic. Now, is this really a fault? So let's try to see that if I have token 1 comma 1, like one token in one, so the pool size will be of one token according to x into y. If my pool size is of 10 comma 10, so now the size is going to be 100 since 10 to 10 is 100. If now my pool size is 100 into 100, now my liquidity pool size is going to be 10,000. And if my pool size is 1000 by 1000 tokens, now my pool size is going to be around 1 million. So this is going to create an issue since like it is exponentially increasing the liquidity pool size. So instead of this, uh, uh, the writer of the Uniswap, he came across another equation, which was to make it more linear. Now to make it more linear, what it's gonna do is that he came up in a like with an idea that how about for function f x y, we keep it as less than equal to a constant multiplied by max of any x comma y. So in this case, the liquidity pool will always have a value which is going to be greater than the either of the max value. So that means that there will be always area to withdraw, but it won't always means that the liquidity pool is going to be very highest always, very long always. So to tackle this thing, the final calculation to come for the liquidity pool came as to be function x comma y is equal to SQRT of into y. Since it's not. So this was the final equation that it came out to be as. Uh, so this is now the equation that we use to calculate the value of a liquidity pool. So now with this one, we know that the liquidity before is going to be like square root of x and y, and liquidity after adding the token dx plus dy is going to be square root of x plus dx into y plus dy, since this is the liquidity which is added afterwards. So if we try to solve this equation, so what is gonna come like? Now let's go and try to solve this equation. So in this case, it will be like we just put the value directly. So for L1, it will be SQRT of, and wait, it's going to be in pass in a fraction as well. fraction okay sqrt of x plus dx into y plus dy and minus lo. So minus sqrt of x into y. So this is the numerator and the denominator is going to be like uh, similarly sqrt square root of the x and y, which is the initial liquidity. So if we try to solve this again, what I'm gonna do right now is that I'm gonna multiply them and we are going to open them into another equation. So to open them, it's going to come as x into y plus x dy plus y dx plus y dy. So instead of this, we can just simply write xy plus 2 wait xy plus 2y dx and uh, dx into dy. Sounds good. I think so. So let's try to write it again. This is the square root of x. That's why no, we need to do it here. So it's gonna come like x dx plus no x 2x xy plus x dy plus y dx plus dx dy. Yep, dx and dy. Now, if we remember that from this value, uh, we can actually keep dy is equal to y upon x dx. So we'll put the value of putting the value of dy as dy is equal to fractional of x dx upon dy. So if we put this into the equation, so it is so it will come as dx x y plus x dy y dx okay, that's right. So if we try to now put it again into the equation, we'll replace the value of dy everywhere. So I'll replace value of dy here and I'll replace the value of dy here. So if I replace the value of dy here, it's going to be like x plus y dx ultimately, and then it will be y dx here, and this will be dx square y upon dx. Yeah, so it will come like this. If I change it, it will be xy plus it will be like we are replacing it. So it will be y dx plus y dx will remain the same. And here it will be dx into dx upon x. Dx into dx. Okay, I can write back here again. Y dx upon x. So as we can see, it is going to be 2 y dx, and we can take y common out from every one of these. So what I can write again is this, and instead of this, I can just write, can take out y common, and I'll write x. One second. Square root of with y common, or maybe one second. I can instead of doing this, I can just multiply under root up and under root above. So if I multiply with under root above, it will be, the x will come out as x into under root y, and here the case will be like x square y inside. So it will be okay. All of my lead here. So the case will be inside is going to be x to the power 2 x square y plus uh, 2 x y dx plus dx to the power 2 into y, and this will be gone since we have multiplied it with under root everywhere, and not the value of, and we can just simply write it as like I can remove it instead, and I can write it as -1 here since I've cancelled it out entirely. So wait, I can just keep it here only. Dx by y minus square root of, remove this one. It's the issue. One more. Okay, -1. Cool. Uh, no, in down it will be only y, x will be out. Yep. So now I'm gonna take out y common. So if I take out y common from this part, the next equation found will be uh, okay, perfect. So now if you like if you see, this under root is multiplied by under root y. So I can do is that I can cancel out this under root, and this one is actually, if we can see that it is x plus dx whole square. Let's write it again. This is actually x plus dx to the power 2, and then it is multiplied by sqrt uh, this. Yep. So like we can cancel out root y from each of them. Now that will leave us with the fractional value of, and this x plus dx will come out as whole. So now the value with us will be fraction of x plus dx and x, right, minus 1. So from this equation, we can solve it as x will go here, dx upon x. So it will come as, so basically we can write the last part here, which will be fraction of L1 minus L0 upon L0 is equal to fraction of dx upon x. And like if we put the value of dx here instead of dy, then I think so the value that what we'll get is going to be also similar to this only. So then in this case it will be dy upon big Y. So if we go back to this equation that we were actually solving to find out the increase in shares, now uh, going back to solving increase in shares, we'll come up with an equation that will be like increase in share is going to be t into fractionalization of dx upon x, which will be equal to t into frac dy upon big Y. Okay. So this was the equation overall. So like if we are going to add liquidity in a pool, then the shares that we are gonna get at the, like the shares that we can that increase in a pool is going to be increased in this manner. So like this is how it's going to work in a liquidity pool. Now to revise, what we have done is that we have seen how the pool works when we add liquidity to it, how what is the limit of adding additional token to liquidity. To calculate a liquidity from x and y, we understood the formula that was derived, and now the only part that I think so left would be to understand uh, removing liquidity. So if we remove liquidity, how many tokens can we withdraw? So to understand how many tokens we can withdraw, let's also first look at a concept which says that withdraw tokens should always be proportional to the shares. So with this one, we can see that let's try to again get an example that if we want to remove, let's say, a amount of tokens from liquidity pool. So a is equal to amount of tokens out, which will be is equal to a function of dx comma dy, which will be equal to square root of dx comma dy. All right. Now comes the second part, which is going to be the liquidity. So we'll understand what is the total liquidity. So the total liquidity, as we already know, in a pool is going to be a square root of x comma y. Now we'll see the amount of shares out. The amount of shares out will be denoted with S, and in the end, the total share will be denoted by total shares. So we need these four parameters for understanding how many tokens we can withdraw. And then what we are going to do is that we are going to look at this statement again, that withdraw token should always be proportional to shares. So with this, I think so by now you can also create an equation out of this. So to create an equation out of this, what we are going to do is that we are going to compare the ratio of the total liquidity or the withdraw amount. So which is going to be uh, fraction of A and L is equal to fraction of S and T, right? And what we need to find is we need to find A. So our main focus is going to be in finding this part. Oh, sorry. A is equal to L. So we need to find this part from this one. So if we put the values from this one, so we know A is equal to square root of dx by dy, right? So instead of A, we can write sqrt of dx into dy, right? And the value of L is also square root of x and y, because the value of L is also square root of x and y. So it will be like sqrt again of x and y. So now we'll try to solve it again. So now, as we already know that uh, we already where it is. Uh, we already know this value. So putting the value as this, what we are gonna do is we are gonna replace the value of dy again. So the dy will be uh, value of dy y by x dx. Once again, fractional one. Yeah, yeah. Uh, hmm, I did a mistake here. Yeah, and it's perfect now. Okay, so yep, it's perfectly fine now. So now, if we put the value of dy as y dx upon x here, then what is gonna come is like this. The value of dy is going to be in fraction, and the fraction is going to be y dx upon x into square root of this is going to remain the same. So from this, now we already can see like the dx is going to multiply. So dx and dx is going to multiply. So it will be dx square. So I can take dx out here already. So which will make it as, if I take dx out here already and remove the dx from here, it will be something like this. And now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna divide this thing and take it under. It's just the maths, nothing much. So if I take it under, then if I do it again, so I think so it will go y by x here. So which means uh, the x will come into up. So it will be like uh, under root fractional of you know, frac of sqrt x upon sqrt of y. So which means under root y and root y got cancelled, and x is going to come out as the under root will go, and x will come out as a with a linear power 1. So which gives us the final value of dx as remain the same. This part is going to go. This is going to be the value of dx, and likewise the value of dy will be y upon fractional value of s and t. So this amount of token you can remove from liquidity pair to maintain the perfect proportion. Uh, so I think so I'll we are running out of time, so I can uh, complete the webinar here for today, and in the next slide we can understand about how to create a exchange smart contract and how to create a liquidity provider smart contract. Then we will understand more about the Uniswap, and in the coming classes we can also create a contract based on this, which will understand how we can actually have all of this maths into the smart contract. So if you have any questions, you can let me know.